Picture this: cars that were once flying off lots are now stuck on them, with prices and loan payments skyrocketing. Car dealers are panicking and consumers are broke because the car market has flipped on its head. Sales were booming this spring as buyers rushed in, but that buying frenzy just evaporated. So in May 2025, US auto sales dropped by nearly 10%, and that is the sharpest slide that we've seen in years. You heard that right. We went from a springtime buying binge to a complete freefall. Now ask yourself this: can this go on? Can Americans keep shelling out tens of thousands for cars, or will this whole bubble burst? So, welcome to the Financial Freedom Network, the financial channel that fills your wallet, makes you money, and boosts your credit. Before we take a deep dive on this subject, hit that like button and subscribe to get notified when we produce another video that affects you personally. And I promise you'll appreciate it. So, buckle up and let's plunge straight in. So tariff talk turned into real pain. On April the 3rd, 2025, a 25% tariff on imported cars suddenly kicked in, followed by similar levies on parts a month later. Automakers and buyers rushed to beat the tariff in March, creating a very short lived boom. But by May, the bubble had burst. US light vehicle sales fell to a 15.6 million annualized rate in May 2025, and that was down from 17.3 million in April. So that slump, about 1.6 million fewer cars sold in 1 month, was the steepest fall since the early pandemic shutdowns, according to Reuters. So, in other words, Americans rushed to buy before prices spiked. And once that panic buying ended, well, demand collapsed. Meanwhile, prices remain sky high. Today, the average new car list price is roughly 50,000, and even a 3-year-old used car goes for around 30,000. That sticker shock is terrifying in itself, but on top of that, higher tariffs and double steel levies, up to 15% on US steel and aluminum imports, threaten to add hundreds or even thousands of dollars to every single vehicle. Ford itself warned that Trump's tariffs could cost it about $1.5 billion in profits this year alone. General Motors likewise pulled its full year forecast and even paused its stock buybacks amid the uncertainty. Now, here's some quick hits on the fallout so far. Truck sales were there down about 9%, and car sales down 10% this spring. And vehicle inventories are already tightening. Many dealers have little beyond pre tariff stock, and automakers are not just shrugging this off. Ford suspended its 2025 guidance outright, warning of massive cost hits, while GM froze its share repurchases. So, with sticker prices sky high, buyers stretched every way they can. To afford cars, people are signing up for ridiculously long loans and, of course, paying high interest. Right now, roughly 1 in 5 new car borrowers are taking out 7-year loans to keep monthly payments low. In fact, the average loan term is about 68 months for new car and 67 months for used cars. That's nearly 6 years. Now, at the same time, average monthly payments hit record highs: $742 a month on a new car and $525 on a used car. Well, all that debt adds up. So US consumers now owe roughly $1.65 trillion in auto loans. And that is actually more than all student loans and over 9% of total consumer debt. Last quarter alone, Americans borrowed $175 billion to buy cars. And these are crazily high numbers. Even more alarming, delinquencies are also spiking. Auto lenders report delinquency rates at the highest level in 15 years. Subprime borrowers, that's anyone with a credit score under 600, are the hardest hit. About 6% of subprime auto loans are over 60 days late, and that is the highest since records began, according to bankrate.com. A TransUnion report confirms auto loan defaults are near post 2009 peak. So, in short, Americans are falling behind on car payments, which is a bad sign for everyone. These strains make both buyers and lenders very nervous. One step back in inventory or credit standards, and the whole thing could tip. And it means bankers may soon tighten credit, making all loans harder to get. And without those easy 0% deals or big discounts, well, more buyers will simply stay home. Now, overseas supply has also seized up. US vehicle imports by sea have plummeted. According to shipping data, the volume of cars arriving at US ports in May 2025 fell a staggering 72% year on year. Now, that's only about 3,600 vehicles in 20-foot units of cargo space versus 13,000 a year earlier. Now, auto part imports have similarly tumbled by roughly 15%. These cliff dives in imports mean dealerships and factories are waiting on shipments that simply aren't coming. Many automakers are literally holding cars overseas to avoid paying that 25% duty. The result? Depleted inventory and stalled production. In fact, most US dealerships have some pre tariff stock, but new arrivals, well, they're just drying up fast. And just to add pressure, steel and aluminum tariffs were recently doubled to 50%, which could tack on hundreds of dollars a car, even up to 2 to 3,000 on more expensive models. Now, this supply shock hits across the board. It's not just imports of finished cars, even components are affected. Every car contains parts from around the world, from electronics to transmissions. Once those parts incur tariffs, all cars get more expensive. Indeed, Ford reports that every new model in its lineup will feel a hit, American label or not. Bottom line, tariffs don't jack up import prices, they also raise costs industry wide. Now, you might hear politicians say, just buy American made. But unfortunately, this myth won't save us. Even the most American cars on the road are patchwork global builds. For example, a recent analysis of North American vehicles shows that only about 30% of the Ford's F 150 parts come from the US or Canada. The rest, well, they're foreign sourced. And even Tesla's Model Y, the most American car of 2023, still has roughly 30% foreign parts. Just think battery cells and electronics that come from Asia. In fact, the Chicago Fed notes the average North American assembled car is roughly half foreign content. So, when tariffs hit, every vehicle on the lot effectively gets pricier. A 77,000 pickup could see a $20,000 spike when you factor in auto part tariffs. Now, these costs cascade. Higher prices on new cars spill over to used car prices, to repair parts, to everything that's auto related. So, the big question is, who really loses when the car market collapses? Well, if the auto market collapses, it's not just dealers and buyers who get hurt, it ripples through the entire economy. Now, the US auto industry supports about 10 million jobs. Midwest and South plants may slow or shift output, costing jobs at suppliers and local businesses. Michigan economists estimate even a 2% drop in US vehicle production could wipe out thousands of jobs across the auto cluster. Financially, more defaults on the $1.65 trillion in auto loans would hurt banks, credit unions, lenders, and investors in auto backed securities. Now, lenders might respond by tightening credit standards for all loans, squeezing consumers on everything from mortgages to appliance financing. For consumers, that pain is already real. So without 0% deals or rebates, well, average payments are through the roof. Many buyers are stuck in negative equity or risking repossession. And look around. There's no more zero for 60 months or massive holiday discounts on the horizon. So, as one industry expert put it, automakers can't afford to eat all those costs on their own. So, relief deals are quickly fading. Finally, the car market is a bellwether for broader consumer health. Americans' wallets are maxed out. Consumer confidence is sinking. Credit card debt is surging. And now record auto debt looms. If the car market tanks further, it could signal trouble for the overall economy. In a worst case scenario, a feedback loop of defaults and layoffs could drag down home sales, retail spending, and even more. So here's the bottom line: the chaos in the car market is a canary in a coal mine. Consumers are already at breaking points, and with tariffs and debt pressures intensifying, the next few months could be really brutal. So, if this is what strong economy looks like, imagine what happens when the real downturn hits. So, if you found this analysis helpful, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the economy. And hey, check out our next video on why 60% of Americans struggle with basic living expenses. Thank you for watching as always, and stay financially savvy out there. See you on the next one.